Peace. Bang. Bam. Happy now is a vibrator, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Right now I came across some interesting insight or interesting thought or speck of information dealing with telepathy. Matter of fact, before I get into it, I always gotta express, where the source of inspiration for these types of videos, because I'm going into a little bit of information that's elaborated on by somebody else, but it's a mixture of them bringing it up and me elaborating on it. But Dan Winters, shout out to Dan Winters, be vibing with the neg entropy and the science of our toroidal field and plasma implosion, things of this nature. But he had spoke on the history. He speaks on the history of the reptilians, and one of the things that he brought up, which was an omens for me to hear, because I kind of honestly been going through this. Like, I've seen patches of it throughout my life, but I would say more so strongly, since I've been on my spiritual growth very, more strongly in essence. But basically how too much telepathy, and also this is an example of how things is about balance still, like where too much of one thing could still throw the balance of things off, and where you would think like, oh, if I had a lot of this, then everything would be completely fine. It's like, nope, then you're gonna create this situation. For every cause they have an effect. A matter of fact, and before I get into it, in essence, that's all what's happening is basically, God God going through trial and error with itself, like basically God learning from experience through us. We are all God learning about itself, from being the physical aspect of itself and from being the non-physical aspect of itself. It's a circle of learning. I forgot what the Aurora Boreal, the little snake chasing his tail. That's basically that's what's going on. So getting to the point, the Dracos, the Draconian, the Reptilians, they basically, for one, that's why dealing with America trying to promote this artificial, making everything about computers and, for the hospitals they have you around all this metal and stuff like that, is because the reptilians are beings who DNA don't implode, meaning they torus field, or they like an implosion is imploding in. Their DNA isn't implosive, so they lack certain capabilities and connections to source in essence because of that. But one of the things that kind of threw me off though was that, getting to the point, the reptilians had a very, very strong level of telepathy. You think like, all right, damn, strong level of telepathy, but that strong level of telepathy was the reason why they lack compassion. You're like, wait, hold on. The reason why they lack compassion was because they were able to talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, look like, having an avenue to express yourself and communicate will bring you closer. But not in the essence, not in this instant, dealing with telepathy. Because, even you think about telepathy, like, oh yeah, bro. Like, even now we look at it like, gotta get the telepathy right. Working on the psychokinesis and the intuition, growing the extrasensory perceptions, but just realizing the balance of the situation. So back into it, basically them having a strong telepathy, stopped them from having a high level of compassion. And reason why this resonated with me, because all throughout my life, in certain spurts, I go through this cycle, or this just like, sometimes I'm closer to that realm of compassion and loving and very deep in that heart space, and sometimes I'm closer to that realm of of mind, or of just pure consciousness in essence, because I think about where one of the main things where it sticks out to me is when people tell me that they miss me. They're like, "Oh, I miss you," and whether it been possibly, I mean, of some cases, yeah. Like again, I go through a cycle of being really in it and then out of it in essence. Like I have a vibe where it's like when people say they miss me, I'm like, I can't even miss you or say I miss you back, because like, say for instance, through my connection, seeing how it resonated through my connection of always, just whether it's telepathy or just being connected to everything in general, I can't really miss nothing if I'm always connected to everything. You know what I'm saying? And you see the paradox in that. It's like in order for roses to smell good, no shit have to exist. The shit don't exist, and roses don't even smell good. You know what I'm saying? In order for us to have compassion, we have to have some type of separation in order to miss each other. But in my instance, the separation was that physical, but I'm still like tapped in and being connected, to everybody and to all consciousness. So I never really feel a vibe of missing anybody. But then again, I go through this in cycles, because then I have a vibe where I'm like, damn, man, I really miss so and so. You know what I'm saying? Where I go through the human vibe, and I'm feeling like I want to talk to my mom or talk to somebody back home, or just really missing somebody who I ain't vibe with in a minute. It's like cycling through that vibe. But I definitely have that coldness, and I cycle through both aspects. I think that's just being one with source, because source is all. There's no good and bad, because it got some days where you talk about a baby transition, I bust out laughing like I'm doing that because I know that excuse me, because I know that the body is just a bodysuit. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no transition. It ain't no death. But then I be on, and two, I know that's also from picking up on vibes. Sometimes the vibes around me may have influenced that. But then I have vibes where I cry, I want to cry because of a story about a crackhead getting beat up or something. Like it fluctuates, it vibes. But back to the main thing, with the telepathy, because you're always connected, it's like, how could I miss you? If we always connected, there's no room for me to really miss you if I'm always feeling your presence. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, speaking of this, because this came to me as I brought up the information, higher self was like, hey, let people know how to deal, if they do have this situation going on, how to deal with this. So if you, in matter of fact, deal with this in the manner of dealing with crystals. So if you feel yourself being in that vibe where your telepathy is so strong at times, or, it just being too, how I say, overwhelmingly strong for a nice period of time, to where you do lack that compassion, in essence, work with rose quartz, septarian, and satellite, and or lapis lazuli, in which looking at how the universe, like, it's no coincidences in the universe, because septarian, sept or seven, and dealing with the serpent, and serpent or seven, the serpent passed through your 7 chakras, but septarian is a stone that's good for speaking up with the throat chakra, so that's kind of cool that I caught that download to deal with that. And that the fact that crystal deals with speaking and with telepathy in essence, and it's named after a reptilian in essence, septarian, like a serpent. But yeah, those 3 crystals would be, the rose quartz would bring that compassion, the lapis and satellite in essence would like balance off the telepathy vibe to not make it so overwhelmingly like strong, but just balance it out. And the Septarian would do that as well. But the Septarian also has aragonite and yellow calcite in it, which will provide some grounding and some uh, more of a full body vibe and resonance. So again, you see how like when we talk about duality, and like some people wonder, well, nah, man, you gotta have thing. Some people still of that mind of thinking that things could be made extremely perfect for every single aspect of source, and that's like I mean, that would exist if we were by ourselves and had our own little realms to each other or whatever. It could be possible, but for the most part, with us, interacting with ourselves, in essence, there's a certain balance in certain areas, that has to be kept, in essence. So, basically, yeah. So, and two, seeing how the essence of the vibe, whether with the devil or Satan, where it's no good or bad. Like Satan, in essence, or that aspect of source has to exist. Every now and then, source gotta put on the ski mask and rob a nigga. It is what it is. In order for you to buy that new camera that you should have been bought, you know what I'm saying? But it took source to put on a ski mask and rob you, to motivate you or inspire you to do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, without some type of separation, a matter of fact, showing you that aspect where you see the beneficial aspect, in essence, of Saturn, or Satan, without some type of separation or boundaries, you wouldn't know how to be compassionate, or you wouldn't know how compassion or how a connection feel, because there wouldn't be no separation. So we know what compassion and a connection and that loving vibe, we know what that feels like, because separation exists. If separation exists and we was all one big glob of source, it wouldn't have that level of compassion or connection, because it'd be like, oh, I'm just all one, I'm just with myself. I'm actually getting bored, getting bored by myself is in one big glob. What can I do to create a situation to have more fun and experience things? I want to learn more about myself, but all my consciousness is in one big glob. What shall I do? I picture that being like like the questioning of source, and how creation came about, in essence. But that's basically it, and to get into another vibe too, I came up with the analogy of like how some people, still have that vibe of like, oh, why I gotta be suffering, and why this and that, again, it's just the balance of the universe. The funk gotta exist for stuff to smell good, the separation gotta exist for you to be able to connect and be compassionate and love strong, Like, if we was always together, I wouldn't have no reason to miss you. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you always around me. What the hell you talking about some compassion, love? I'm getting tired of your motherfucking ass. You know what I'm saying? If anything, you start to see, how that could trickle down into the situation that we're in now, But I thought about like how some people, in fact, I thought about the telepathy situation, like the aspect of source, or just saying source for lack of a better word, with the aspect of source giving the draconians, the reptilians, a strong telepathy, was like a trial and error experiment, or like they were given telepathy, but then they lacked compassion. But in essence, again, it's like that trial and error process. Like, I had to distribute telepathy, so I gotta see how much is appropriate, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta give some beings a little bit, some beings a lot, you know what I'm saying? and some of those beings may not agree with the level of telepathy. Certain aspects of myself may not agree with other aspects of myself. You know what I'm saying? But again, so getting into the analogy I wanted to make, like giving too much telepathy to the reptilians, it's just like that trial and error vibe. So like, say for instance, Source building a house, from scratch, and so creating, basically building a house from scratch, building the Temple of Solomon, being the master mason that Source is, building that temple. And then that Source nailing, like bam, shit. Source hit the thumb. You know what I'm saying? Now, the intention is on building. Like, the intention wasn't like, I'ma see how I could fuck up my thumb. The intention is like, I'm building. I'm building my house. I'm nailing this nail into help my temple be built. But part of the process, sometimes what could happen is you could harm a part of yourself while you're building things. You know what I'm saying? So, you could hit your thumb and then harm your thumb. And now, say for instance, if the cells in my thumb had sentience and had like their own level of consciousness, they'll be like, man, what the fuck? Like, why God so hard on us? Like, what? Why God want to hit us out of nowhere? You know what I'm saying? Why we don't deserve this? And see it as God picking on them because they don't have the bigger picture of the what was going on. They don't know that the intentions was good as far as like it wasn't meant on no purpose level. It just happened. But from doing that, from Source hitting the thumb, it learned how to hammer and build a temple now without hitting its thumb, because it went through that process of hitting its thumb, going through that pain, and now it can learn from that pain or that negative aspect. Everything just not positive. It had to, take a little bit of that negative and learn from it. You know what I'm saying? Compared to where if everything was always positive, it wouldn't be no learning situation in essence. Again, no contrast to teach you different. So so the telepathy vibe, the reptilians, basically not, how do I say, being mad or disgruntled with Source for being creatures that had telepathy without compassion. You could see that as Source hitting its thumb as it's creating. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, oops, sorry, reptilians, sorry, thumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's part of the process, trial and error. This is my first time hammering. This is my first time building, a temple. In essence, I never knew if even hitting your thumb could even exist. I had to start hammering to realize something. You know what I'm saying? I had to start building, and go through trial and error. So, so please forgive me for just, for building a temple and just trying to expand. That's all. But yeah, it's like if the cells in my hands start to see themselves as individuals and separate from the whole body, then the cells in the hand will see God as evil. God evil, man. It just fucking messed up our whole little universe, But that's, not the full story or the wholeness of the story. Let me see. Yeah. But again, just showing how, the trial and error of going through different things, again, seeing how having too much of something, could prove to be unbeneficial in another area, you know what I'm saying? So for all the people who like love the fact that we're able to love each other and love each other's company, you gotta realize that exists because separation exists. So you gotta also love separation. You gotta love the idea of separation as well, because the fact that separation exists is the reason why you're able to love your spouse be connected with your pet, or be connected with your plants, or whatever the case may be. It's because of the fact that separation does exist, and it's a balance. Because of course, we are right now we are heightening our telepathy, but it's just not to that extremely high level to where we just like experiencing each other so fully on the telepathic level where it don't even pay for us to interact in essence. Because we always talking and reading each other's mind. It's like I'm always around you in essence. You know what I'm saying? I'm never. How could I miss you? Again, how could I miss you if I'm always dealing with you in my mind? So always had that vibe. And two, getting into transition. I think I'm gonna do one big video. Let me see how many minutes it got. Cause some things is best kept all together. I feel like as much as everybody, their reptilian brains don't want to sit and watch a long video. That's why I try to drop as much sauce as possible in essence in long videos, to make sure that, all right, if you got to sit through this, I'm gonna have like little bits of information from all over the I might have a little 10-minute rant about crystals in the video, what had nothing to do with crystals, but and two, that's what I wanted to say, how some of the new that new age vibe, or like how some people got this vibe of like, oh yeah, we trying to get back one to the source, and connect with source on a type of level, not realizing. And two, that's mostly people that may be like more new souls, let's say. Some of us old souls understand that we got bored with being one, and that when we talk about being one with source and everybody being compassionate and showing unconditional love, it's not on no level where we trying to basically become one being but in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? Nah, we got these boundaries, for a reason, and we're not going back to one big glob, because I want to speak to that, like where if we all went back to source all at once, then we would be quote unquote back at square one, because there's no beginning or end, but to the essence of existing on a physical level, we'll be back to source, figuring out how to put its consciousness upon something physical. If we all just like, oh yeah, because a lot of people, some people say it with that vibe, and to each his own. I'm just speaking on. Reason why I'm speaking on it, because I feel like people may misunderstand that, where they thinking like, all right, yeah, after I transition this lifetime, I'm going to be right back one with source, like as if like they're gonna just completely erase their piece of consciousness and be right back in the fullness of every living thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, it's more so you just raising your consciousness to be interconnected at all times, while still being on your little unique experience, because after we leave this bodysuit, we got a level of existence on a higher level that ain't going right back to soul. Like, it's so many levels before you would even get back to that essence of source. You got it takes so much time to be a star or sun or a planet, let alone to get back one with source, on that type of level, and again, the most of the people who may be saying it from that point of view may be people whose souls haven't been around for a long time, Matter of fact, and to not beat around the bush, yes, I'm talking about, people with the lightly melanated bodysuits, and that's where things get out of place, and where, we gotta have like that, just straight up, just being real about the situation, as far as like old souls or new souls shouldn't be teaching old souls about old stuff. I mean, it really don't make much sense. Is it something thinking it's better than the other, this and that. Like, nah, whenever that's involved, that means somebody got an inferiority complex or a superiority complex. But just the naturalness of the situation is, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if they got an old person that done been through the beginnings of times or whatever, and then they got this younger person, which you can learn from all aspects of Source. Don't get it twisted. But with speaking to like general situations or subjects, or say for instance with like knowing the eldest part of our existence, dealing with that part of our existence, it would be better learned from somebody who actually dealt more with it on a soul level, you know what I'm saying? And two, have more, let's just say, have more memory of dealing with, the primordial part of our existence, you know what I'm saying? Because technically, in essence, energy cannot be destroyed nor created in essence. So a new soul technically isn't a new soul as much as it's just a soul that's new to certain experiences, That's why a lot of us old souls have that vibe of like being a little more detached from the physical aspect, because we've been around long enough to realize that, we made this motherfucker, this shit illusion, so it's like we may invest less into, and I even say into the physical, because it's two sides to that coin as well, Some of us may like just go in like, yep, I remember this fucking game like it was yesterday, and go in playing, and some of us got a cautionary vibe to playing the game, but put like this, as we grow, realizing like, there's nothing to be scared of, because if you're being scared, then you're being disconnected from yourself in essence. But so next vibe, spoke about the extrasensory perception and how telepathy, so how having a lot of telepathy causes, a lack of compassion. So you see the just that paradox, or that situation with duality again, you know what I'm saying? And it's not to be in the illusion of the duality, but just to realize that dual nature in essence have to exist for us to have a physical existence, But now I want to roll into some information about the golden mean ratio, basically the importance of the number 5 in essence. Like one of the indirect reasons why it's important to a lot of texts, and to kind of get into this aspect still, what I just finished talking about a little bit about God experiencing itself, because that's the vibe I'm catching right now, is like to explain to people the deeper levels of what God is and the fullness of it. So that's why the videos, last few videos probably a little longer, than most. On average, I look to do probably at least 30 minutes every time. Make sure I cover a lot. But anyway, I want to speak on the golden mean ratio, and how in essence that sequence is the generator of life in essence. But dealing with ley lines in certain areas, matter of fact, and to also give a shout out to Dan Winters on the aspect of bringing up this, where he was speaking about how on Atlantis, one of the reasons why Atlantis fell, was because they messed up the ley lines indirectly by overslaving too many people, and and it makes sense, because because again, the reason why I'm saying it, is not to be like, oh, I'm just saying what Dan Winter said. Nah, it resonated with my soul. My soul was like, that part, what he just said. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, with the ley lines, and which you see aspects of this spoken about all the time, with the elementals and the fairies end up being controlled by the ego, or these beings from Mars come and egotistically control things, but in essence, again, that slavery, and showing you how situations to a certain extent cycle and repeat themselves. But you see that correlation in stories where whether it was fairies being overpowered by ego, or fairies being used like Pokemon, like slaves in that manner, or again, or just a straight up story of the slavery. But again, the slavery on Atlantis was on such a mass level that basically, say for instance, we are walking towards the tourist fields, and our tourist fields are activated through us going through bliss experience, so us doing the right breathing techniques, raising the kundalini, activating the soul in essence. But say for instance, if you're being a slave and you're being harshly treated, and you're not tapping into your spirit, eventually, your tourist field gonna start to diminish. It's gonna start spinning slower. And of course, it's gonna be throughout all the slaves, but that's also gonna affect the area you're in. You know what I'm saying? And once that get affected, then that throw off other elementals, in the area, because the ley line is thrown off. You know what I'm saying? As above, so below. When somebody throw off the ley line in your body, like somebody throw off your solar plexus chakra, you're gonna have a problem on the body. You're gonna have a problem in the whole. But again, basically how the slavery, caused the fall through messing up everybody plasma fields, or everybody torus fields. So with everybody torus fields losing the centripetal, centripetal nature. What centripetal means in physics, you got a middle point, and the physics of something rotating around that middle point, centripetal force, and there's like a center. Matter of fact, centripetal in essence. It's almost like century and petal. Center, and then the petal of a flower. How a petal of a flower will go around the round dot in the middle. Centripetal. And matter of fact, that's etymology that I didn't look that up. I just bam, what I'm saying, caught the download on just breaking down the word for how it looks. But what I was speaking to, yeah. So the slavery messing up the tourist fields, Isaiah Blah. So what I was getting to is how the chess game of like the people who oppress, now, knowing that, because another thing they know that, you can't have one without the other. They know, how can I say, that they can't really just kill us off or just run us into the ground like that, Like that's another thing too. Because they really know that they dealing with another aspect of themselves, so they, can't really kill off themselves, especially the part of themselves that's magical, aka the neuromelanin or the fairies and the, the manifestation of things, So there's a chess game behind, giving people, so much freedom, but at the same time keeping them slaves, Say for instance, like, if you got a slave and for damn sure you don't want to go out there and till 100 acres of land, what I'm saying? Let's just say, you're going to beat your slave enough to make sure they do their job in essence, but you're not going to beat them to the level of killing them, or, because then you won't have nobody to do the work for you, what I'm saying? So you got to, keep a certain level of, how can I say, of letting that slave get some type of leeway in essence, what I'm saying? Like letting them get a break on Sundays, where they get ass whippings all throughout all other days except for Sundays, or you get Jesus on Sundays. So that's staying in your subconscious. Whenever you scream out Jesus' name, that's when Master stop whipping. And it's a fact that trauma and subconscious vibes get passed through birth. So you see how that situation pop off. But anyway, again, they can't overdo it, because then they'll just mess up the whole operation for themselves. I'm just looking at my notes, making sure. Yeah. As a matter of fact, yeah. Oh, because that's what happened too. Because I was the centripetal motion. That's what I'm gonna get into on the second half of this, in essence, where our centripetal motion, in essence, the centripetal motion of our torus field, in essence, is what causes gravity. In which you'll have to get more into Dan Winter's work for the full explanation. I'm not trying to go all the way into it on that level. Plus, I'm new to it anyway. But basically, it breaks down that the centripetal motion of our torus field is what creates mass and gravity. And what I was speaking to, oh yeah, because the reason why the Atlantis fell after the slavery vibe and throwing off the ley lines, because once the ley lines is thrown off, it loses centripetal, centripetal motion, in essence, and then it loses its gravitational pull, so it basically throws off the energy, the mass and all that of that area, it's thrown off. So again, that, and that's why from even to this day, where they're trying to always say, for instance, get in Iraq somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like Iraq got like some type of important ley line around there, and that's why they always in the Middle East, because it's trying to throw these energies off of on the body, and to get to the other aspect that I want to speak on. So again, how the slavery situation, even to today, the oppressors learning from that past situation of Atlantis and knowing like, all right, we can't enslave them too harshly, because we'll throw off the energy and shit, we all be gone. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's another thing too. It's like what's the point of doing that? If we all became one with Source again, all together, then we'd be back at square one. It wouldn't even be no perception of we. It'd be I am, like how our affirmations we say is I am Source and stuff like that. We would be Source. And say, for instance, if that would happen, back to the situation with the oppressors, they mostly exist on a physical level. So as much as they'll make it seem like they would start a nuclear war and this and that, they're not gonna kill them. They're not gonna kill off themselves in that sense too. Like and definitely on the whole aspect of just killing off everything. Because then again, we'll all be back at square one. We all would be one big glob of Source, wondering how to express itself in the physical again. Being bored, being by itself. But so yeah, in fact, and I had that thought before, like what would happen if they, if everybody on Earth transitioned, like matter of fact, every sentient everything, like would just, what would happen if all sentience just left Earth all at once, and again, would be that aspect of just a bunch of consciousness back in the non-physical realm, floating. I guess in essence floating around the physical, or trying to float back to the physical, or figuring a way, like kind of like the the Kabbalah, like God going from that top Sephiroth, trying to find his way back to Malkuth, back to that physical aspect, back to that Saturn or Satan nature, in the physical, in the 666 bodysuit, know. But yeah, everything just, disappeared all at once, we'd be quote unquote back to square one on that vibe, you know. The source sentience by itself trying to figure out how to expand again, so you start to see why, like, how, again, back to that aspect where some people make it seem like, yep, like we all trying to just transition right back to source, as if like, well, one by one every human on earth is like, once they transition they'll never come back type of vibe, or in which some of us won't, but and with that vibe too, I catch that we are building up earth on a high vibrational level, to a point where we'll be able to interface easier with the physical nature, so it won't be so much of a process of like reincarnation. Like, we'll get it to a point, not only will we're having memory of this now and teaching our children about, like, hey, we reincarnated souls, this and that, well, we'll leave earth in such a manner to where, and some people could be like, oh, no, I don't want to come back. That's to each his own. We all got different uniqueness to our energies, you know what I'm saying? But say, for instance, we build things up on earth to a level where now our great grandchildren, in essence, but just further a fractal of us, but our great grandchildren be able to, say, for instance, summon our soul, on some and not on no just unwilling, like on some non-free will type of vibes, but like, willing that we want to, come visit in a physical, they will have some type of device, some type of biological device, or they'll be then tapped into their own energy on such a level where they could just like bam, and you could be back in the physical, deal around, mess around, to actually move and touch things, but then still be sentient enough to not get trapped here and be like, all right, I'm out, y'all, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I catch the vibe of, like, where we're moving the vibration of earth to, is to a place where we'll be able to interface with it easily from the higher planes of existence, and of course some of us, got the vibe of like, man, I don't want nothing to do with this prison after I leave this prison. I don't want nothing to do with it, and rightfully so, and to each his own, because it's different perceptions, different aspects of existence, and we all uniquely different in that manner, so that aspect is, however you feel about coming back and staying, or whatever the case may be. Now, getting back to the toroidal field, I'm soon about to be finished. So the golden mean ratio, for one, it allows for adding and multiplying, the adding and multiplying of the numbers in the sequence, or the adding and multiplying of the wavelengths, in essence, or the wavelengths and the velocity. And because you're able to add and multiply the wavelengths and velocity in a constructive manner, basically, so that's why the golden mean ratio is what it is and brings life the way it does, because it's basically a format to, or in essence, a solution to wave interference. It's basically what prevents wave interference. Wave interference is whenever, matter of fact, the corners of the house, you know what I'm saying? The wave go to the corner, boom, it's destructive interference. It crashes the wave, but the golden mean ratio is at such a pace, and matter of fact, I tried to draw it on one of these sheets. The golden mean ratio is at a pace where it self-sufficiently creates constructive waves, and as long as no corner comes obstruct, it's going to continue for all eternity. It's the only equation that could eternally, again, multiply and add to its wavelengths and velocity without creating no destruction to its waves, so that, and in essence, that's, to a certain extent, source is the golden mean ratio. You know, that's what we are. You know, I'm saying source. All of us. You know, that's what it all is. You know what I'm saying? It's the golden mean ratio. In some way, form, or fashion, we are that fractal, part of the fractal sequence from that golden mean ratio. You know, from that centripetal middle part of source. You know. As a matter of fact, and I forget about that aspect of that little story, because I always think of my little spirit science days. You know, when I first got the explanation of the flower of life, how they got the little dot, you know, and then the dot looks at the consciousness all around it, you know, and you got the dot with the first circle, and then it moves to the furthest part of its consciousness. Oh wait, hold on, I have my pen with me. Gotta at least show it a little bit. Let's see. Now this is gonna be a very, very rough draft. Very, very rough. But alright. You know, but that source energy, like the consciousness, say for instance, the first dot. You know, just the consciousness of it itself, you know, that one consciousness, and then it looks around itself, you know. So the first circle around the small dot is, you know, the extension of the consciousness, you know, being in one spot, and then the consciousness, you know, being in that area around. And then, you know, the dot, like, all right, since I done expanded my consciousness, let me move to the furthest part of my consciousness. Bam, and it moves to the furthest part of his consciousness, and then that part, you know, becomes conscious of that area and creates a circle. Then bam, same process, go to the furthest end, get conscious of that area, bam, go until, you know, you got a never-ending fractal, a never-ending story, you know, of yourself, dealing with yourself, you know. But back to the golden mean ratio again, with the wavelengths and velocity multiply and add up constructively without any interference, you know. But then also, which is pretty cool, this aspect. Now it's hard for me to draw, like, but think of your toroidal field, like looking at the top of your toroidal field, and think about like the golden mean ratio and like a bunch of wavelengths. I tried to draw it out. This kind of somewhat give you an idea of what I was trying to draw out, and think about like what the basis of it is, you know, a pentagon, you know. So basically, when you look at the top view of your toroidal field, you know, and basically the pine cones kissing noses, or that rose, or that, you know, that perfect fractality, you know what I'm saying? You're looking at that perfect fractality. From above, it has like a 5, again, like a 5 corner shape. And you think about too, with that aspect, I thought about like the 5 sides, you know, the Baphomet star, you know what I'm saying? Like the toroidal field, being in your physical aspect, you know, or in your toroidal field, in essence, is like being in a pentagram, or you know, or a pentagon, you know, one same difference in essence. As a matter of fact, the pentagram can go inside the pentagon. But and two, with the Baphomet star, like, it's just a personification, you know, of your physical nature. Baphomet is the scapegoat. You know, it's just that energy. It's more than just what I'm speaking of, but just one of the things that it is that energy, you know, our physical nature, you know, the sex, the physical nature, the 666 aspect of our being in the physical, and nothing is wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? That's an aspect that, you know, but like the upside down star kind of represents bringing energy down into the physical, instead of sending energy outward and upward, you know, out of you. It's like, you know, bringing it in. And, you know, you would see, in essence, why it would make sense is because, I mean, you are here in the physical form in this existence to work in the physical. So of course you would want to bring energy down into your physical, you know what I'm saying? Because what we do now, we bring in information from the higher chakras and integrating it down into the root chakra or into the Malkut, or that Saturn area. So you see that the Baphomet vibe with that, and then again the toroidal field from the top of our head is pulling down energy as well. So got that aspect of it. And then two, you see the 72 Goetia, the 72 extra vortexes in the pineal gland, or the 72 Damians or demons inside the pineal. Then again, where you got the pineal right here, and then you got again the 5 sides right over that pineal, with our toroidal field, and you get 72 times the 5 points of that toroidal field to give you 360 degrees, the full circle, and a 360 degrees is also a ring. This little ring, my little ring bent. Matter of fact, my little mason ring. The ring of Saturn, or the ring of Solomon. You know what I'm saying? 72 Goetia and King Solomon, Solomon's rings, it's the full circle of the 72 Goetia. But so basically, you see what the 5 sides, and also I thought about like the inside of an apple, on some as above, so below, telling a story on that level, where the inside of an apple, you cut it, not how can I say, not vertically, but if you cut it horizontal while stand up, and even look at an apple looks like a torus field, you know what I'm saying? So even embodying the aspect of what I'm talking about, even on a way high level, it got the toroidal, let's see, in the apple, the toroidal field, a little stick man. Give you an example. It's you and your inside of your torus field, and the top. If you look at the top of your torus field, what kind of, again, this is the best I could do, just because I didn't have the actual picture, but I kind of got the aspect of it, so I kind of just did the best I could without having really no visual idea at the moment. Like, that's the top of the Taurus. And matter of fact, and the reason why I'm speaking on this too, and you see, so the 5 sides of things, that pentagram, why that is a symbol, and again, it's a subconscious. Before any language existed, we dealt with symbols and energies and vibrations, and not words in essence. Words are the spell that created the physical nature, in essence. Words are that hex. Words is the the 666. Bringing us into our physical nature. And again, the number 26 alphabets. 26 is the atomic number for iron. Iron, one of the foundations of our physical nature. Blood pumped through through our whole vessel. I don't think there's a place on your body you could puncture or cut without blood leaking out of it. In essence. So, but dealing with the number 5, only this geometry makes a plasma charge centripetal. So basically, the geometry of the 5, it's what makes the energy move in that centripetal motion. So basically, the 5-sided shape is what, in essence, creates the best environment for your torus field to spin. So that's basically what's going on right there. And again, back to the vibe of that's what causes gravity, causes gravity and mass, and again, I'm vibing off of this because my higher self, my inner source, you know, as I watch and come across a Dan Winters video, it let me know, like, like, it's the sauce, like, you know what I'm saying, like, so I'm speaking on it in this manner because because my higher self telling me to to vouch on it, you know what I'm saying. So I'm throwing out my voucher of this information because again, like, this is the only information that I'm like that's so logical that I'm really into on that level. Like, I don't really like logical information. And when I say logical information that make you like crunch numbers and really just goes deeply into analyzing stuff. It's like I don't want to overanalyze anything, but this is like one of the only subjects that I know of that I'm willing to sit there and listen, and then too, like, listen to attentively. Where like I could be listening to something that's easy to listen to, and not listen to it as strong as one of the Dan Winter videos on, like, neg entropy and the plasma movement, stuff like that. Yep. And again, the golden mean ratio is within the spin of our torus field, and like with anything, you never seen a tornado that doesn't spin. A tornado doesn't exist without spinning. And the same thing for your torus field. And back to the vibe with the slavery, where if they stop the tornadoes from spinning, that throw off the gravity and the energy of that area, So that's the whole aspect of that, and that's why they make sure they put the banana in the tailpipe on your ass, but not enough to the point. Put like that, they make you slaves, but not to the point of like overly harming you to where it would just mess up the whole operation for them. Like, just like Master had to improvise and let one of the had to have a house nigga. Like, all right, we gotta to keep this going. We gotta let some of them come in the house, and then also that's what the separation was caused by from that point. Like, oh, I'm bright, I'm dark, I'm in the house, you outside. All those different little separation vibes that we gotta move away from, because you're identifying with your physical too much. But that's basically it. Still just basically looking at my notes on the slave vibe, making sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yep, and just to revisit that vibe of, like, if you harm everybody, then then you won't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you take your maliciousness too far, you won't even have a planet to enslave someone on. You know what I'm saying? So that's the aspect of why they're gonna make Neil deGrasse Tyson seem like he's cool and hip and and want to be down, and probably is actually giving some real information. And it's like, nah, they just doing just enough to make you feel comfortable. Again, same thing with making Obama president. Just enough to not giving you nothing in essence, but enough to just have your subconscious to a level of being comfortable and feeling like like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? I was about to quit being a slave until they got the black president. Now we got a black president. I know they're gonna change things. Not my Obama. Oh my goodness, man. I love everybody, everything. They say My people shall perish for lack of knowledge, man. That's the whole vibe is, but that's basically it, you know. Just the importance of maintaining fractality. So you see the reason why we eat healthy, you know, because say for instance, you know, fruits and vegetables coming straight from earth has that life force energy dealing with, you know, the golden mean ratio compared to some artificial food or artificial or man-bred type of fruit or vegetable. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't embody that full aspect of the you know, the golden mean ratio. You know, so the breathing techniques, all that, you know, that's important for our to keep our torus field spinning in a healthy manner. And again, and the importance of the number 5, you know, the number 5, that geometry, so 5-sided geometry, you know, I should say, is what makes plasma charge centripetal, you know, centripetal. What centripetal is energy moving around, you know, a center, like going in a circle. One motion. Matter of fact, shout out to I guess only my Houston, Louisiana people might get this, or anybody from the South dealing with the music. But I think about that was it Big Hawk song, but basically it was a song about smoking. Just roll up a blunt, yeah, 'cause you know it's on my mind. Some killer weed. Anyway, he was like he was talking about 1 puff, 2 puff. I'm hooked like handcuffs. But he said something about your centripetal force causes a chain reaction. I'm like, man, like, and 2, being from the South, you know, our rappers barely use big words like that. Like when he said that little verse, I'm like, man, that centripetal force. Like, boy, I don't know about that centripetal force, boy. Matter of fact, what's funny, I had just learned about it from physics class, you know what I'm saying, taking physics, and I learned about, you know, the centripetal force, you know, like how something spins around a center point, you know. But basically, you know, again, that and also I forgot to mention that the top view of the toroidal field having that 5-sided view is now this aspect I have to go on for the you know, which again I'm feeling obliged to share, so that must mean, you know, it has some truth to it. Hydrogen atoms had that 5 pentagon shape, you know, view. DNA strands has that 5 shape view. The you know, the universe in essence, you know, when you're looking at the middle of the galaxy. And then every living protein has that 5-sided vibe to it, you know. You just see how that aspect plays into everything. That's basically it. Matter of fact, spoke about, you know, the balance of everything, you know, how too much telepathy could cause a situation where you got you know, people lacking compassion because they always, in essence, around each other, you know what I'm saying? They're always with each other. So it's like, bro, how could I even miss you? How could I be compassionate about you? Your damn wavelengths is always connected with mine, you know what I'm saying? Like, so how could I miss you, or, you know, feel any type of disconnect if I'm always connected with you, you know? So you see where you start to see how, in that aspect, how our humanity has its purpose on that level, you know. But again, it's not for us to forget or to think that we are humans first and foremost, but, you know, just realizing the wholeness of the whole situation, how everything, you know, balances each other out, you know what I'm saying? Everything, it's a balance in the dual nature of things. You know? In order for the flower to smell good, the shit gotta stink. God dang it. Motherfucker, in order for somebody to, you know, And again, from a human moralistic level, like, oh, that's fucked up though. Yeah, of course, on the moralistic level, it's fucked up. I think about like, if it wasn't for the harsh vibes of, the hood and street life and the way cops hack people up and this and that, you wouldn't have so many people out the hood becoming so great. Great at all kinds of basketball playing, great scientists, great, all kind of stuff, due to the catalyst of being in the hood. That pressure. Resistance makes strong. You pull a rubber band this far back, whatever you're shooting on, it's gonna go like right there. If you pull that rubber band far back right here, man, that's gonna shoot to the sky. I don't know of no diamonds that was made without pressure. It takes that pressure. That's basically it. If you enjoyed this information, or any of this information is beneficial for you, or you resonate with it, any and all donations is greatly appreciated. But only if you resonate with the information. The information does bring you some type of clarity. Like, don't just do it just because, oh, it's universal frequencies and let the vibe be genuine. Also, don't see it as no charity. Like, I am abundance. As much as on the outside looking in, people see me without, still on my house's transition, and and want to have that charitable aspect towards me, which I love the fact that you want to help, but I don't want help in the aspect of like feeling sorry for, it's nothing to feel sorry for. I'm good, you know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, you helping me, build up what I'm already working on and not feeling sorry for me, So, of course, that's basically it. Peace. Happy now. Now is the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now.